I'm Patricia Halliday. I'm a graphic designer, and in explaining to Canadians why the funding programs were cut, Prime Minister Harper said that he was reprofiling or restructuring them. What specific steps would you take to ensure that Yukon cultural interests are considered in this process?
I wouldn't elect Stephen Harper. I guess it's a bit of a theoretical question for me, because I think that, okay, let's say that we were going through a restructuring, okay, and that whatever the Green Party or whichever party was in power had to do a restructuring. So the typical ways that they're the best ways to do this, and it was right in this year's budget, by the way, which did come from the Conservative government, and my hat off to them for it. They talk about having a northern vision which has Northerners fully engaged. So what that means in my mind is that you have our Aboriginal cultural leaders there, and you have our artists from the visual arts community and from the performing arts community and the literary arts community, and we all sit down to discuss how that restructuring would take place. So it needs engagement from Yukoners, is what I would say.
Well, these programs have been eliminated, and I think you're a very optimistic person if you think they're being restructured or reprofiled. But if they were to improve such programs for the Yukon, as I say in Parliament all the time, I explain the differences to the Yukon and the rest of Canada. And one, of course, being our distance, our small population, small tax base, and the increased cost of doing business here. So for artists, they're far detached from their support services, the very services they need to operate, the distance they have to go to travel to events, the unique Aboriginal heritage has to be included in there, and so that there's a specific understanding of the Yukon, which is different from the rest of the country, and it's one of, I think, the top in the top 10 of speakers in the House. They probably the word Yukon more than any other constituency, and some people are probably tired of hearing it, but I'll keep it on.
Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia. I think one of the opportunities is to engage more people into arts and culture, and the government has just recently announced a children's arts tax credit worth an estimated $150 million. And what this will do is promote greater participation in the arts, and really what it does is by putting more money back into your pocket as well. I think that's empowering people to be able to make those decisions. And what will also happen with this program is that in order to ensure that low-income families can also benefit from this, is that tax credit will be fundable as well. So maybe they're not paying any tax or very little tax. By putting your kids in these programs, you'll get the money back. And this is an excellent opportunity to engage more people into arts and culture in this country. Thank you.
I'll give a bit of a generic answer first. I know from my time as president of Nakai Theatre how incredibly helpful the regional people from the Canada Cow were in terms of trying to help us keep our theatre vibrant here. And I'm sure it's the same with the other areas of the arts. So one of the key parts of the platform for the New Democrats is to increase public funding for the Canada Council for the Arts. I think that's a sine qua non. We also, I think, are the only party that has put out a distinctive Aboriginal platform and a distinctive Northern platform, both of which touch on the importance of culture and the arts in the Northern context. And as John says, quite rightly, you have to engage the people who are involved. If it's First Nations, cultural heritage and arts, the First Nations have to be at the table as part of the discussion. If there's going to be any restructuring, the players have to be at the table.